tonight I'm going to be talking about what's next for Philly's West Washington Avenue. Specifically, I'll be looking at the interaction between the avenue's land uses as those land uses begin to change. How many of you have been to West Washington Avenue? Okay, so for those of you who have, you can probably acknowledge that it's full of surprises. The corridor is composed of a lot of one-story warehouse-type buildings selling construction supplies. There's also plenty of curb cuts, delivery trucks, and outdoor storage going on. Many of these features seem unusual among the surrounding row house neighborhoods, but they're descendants to the industrial activities that characterized Washington Avenue in the 19th century, when it helped Philly earn the nickname Workshop of the World. You've probably noticed that these industrial land uses gave way to heavy commercial uses more recently. Nevertheless, the majority of the corridor is still zoned for medium industrial, which is shown here in the darker purple shade. The city's comprehensive plan, Philadelphia 2035, recommends that the avenue be rezoned. Specifically, it recommends rezoning most of it to either industrial residential mixed use, or IRMX, or industrial commercial mixed use, or ICMX. Both of these categories have measures to encourage the retention of light industrial uses, but they do not require it. Given the avenue's location between Graduate Hospital and Point Breeze, there are several proposed residential projects that would yield hundreds of units. Most of these proposals are for mixed-use residential, like the already completed Lincoln Square at Broad in Washington. However, Washington Ave's mix of heavy commercial and light industrial provides something that the big box stores in most mixed-use developments lack. It provides opportunities for local, independent businesses, including immigrant-owned businesses, to build wealth. Compared to the retail spaces in new mixed-use development, the avenue provides more affordable rents for small businesses, as well as a highly accessible location. The corridor also provides large, flexible footprints that are useful to the existing repair, warehouse, and wholesale businesses, as well as to the light manufacturing businesses, and as well as to startup light manufacturing businesses. And all of these businesses provide a variety of jobs and skill building opportunities. Places like Block and NextFab are nurturing new production-based businesses, and Washington Ave could provide space for those businesses to graduate to. Also, NextFab is still growing. That indicates that there's demand for business incubator type establishments, and West Washington Avenue could respond to this demand. West Washington Avenue is already a home to NextFab, but it could be a home to other types of companies in a similar vein. Washington Ave is also special because it's a wide street with lots of loading zones and curb cuts. While these features are somewhat anathema to urbanistic design, they provide infrastructure that is otherwise hard to find so close to downtown. Therefore, they are well adapted to existing light manufacturing and warehouse businesses, and an asset for startup production-based businesses that could move to the avenue. In fact, West Washington Ave, shown in the center of the red circle here, is one of the most well-connected truck routes in Philadelphia's core. However, the frequent movements of large delivery trucks make the corridor less comfortable for other modes of transportation. Washington Ave currently has 2 unprotected bike lanes. The number of curb cuts and the amount of delivery activity creates conflicts between the bikers using the bike lanes and motorists crossing those lanes. The curb cuts also create conflict areas between pedestrians and motor vehicles. Adding the hundreds of proposed residences to the corridor would increase the conflict between cars, bikes, and peds. This would likely lead to pressure for the delivery-oriented businesses to move out. Washington Avenue's bike lanes are definitely useful, so I'm not advocating that they be removed. I think they definitely serve a place. However, I think alternative lower stress bike routes should be added to nearby streets. And in fact, the Philadelphia bike plan proposes a pair of one-way bicycle-friendly streets along Wharton and Ellsworth. These would provide a parallel lower stress route, or 2 parallel lower stress routes to the Washington Ave unprotected bike lanes. Additionally, many of the residential redevelopment proposals have included internal driveways and courtyards. The internal driveways proposed for 2101, 2201, and 2401 Washington Avenue would provide access for the numbered streets to off-street parking. So I propose an inversion of this. Because Washington Avenue already accommodates motor vehicles so well, I think new developments should be designed so that the driveway entrances are on Washington Ave, while internal and side streets should be dedicated to bikes and pedestrians. In the face of all of this development pressure, I also turn to a solution from Community Development 101. That is pursuing community benefit agreements with developers. 2401 Washington Avenue did establish a CDA with a nearby community, while 2501 did something slightly smaller by committing to a minimum level of local hiring. And like the CDA that was made for 2401, these CDAs should include design standards that are sensitive to Washington Ave's history and built forms. These measures would soften the impact of the dramatic land use changes proposed for Washington Ave. So basically what I'm advocating is, as we plan for what's next for West Washington Ave, we do our best to balance new and old land uses and maintain at least some of the economic opportunity that the quarter currently provides. And that's because that economic opportunity extends to a much more diverse group than just real estate developers. Thank you. My name is Gemma.